All right. So today we are on page 451. We're doing chapter 10, section 2. So for 10.1, we talked about the names of all the fractions. So it would give us a shape, and then it would split it into thirds, fourths, halves, eighths, sixths, and you had to write that underneath each shape. Well, we're going to build on that, and we're going to put it more into terms of fractions, okay? So on 451, it says match each shaded part to its name, okay? So for the first one, we've got a circle. We've got a circle like this, and it's divided. It looks something like that. And then they shaded in a fraction of it. So the fraction they shaded in is this one. Now, if you remember from our vocabulary video, the numerator tells us which part we're looking at. So we're looking at 1 with our fraction bar over the total number of equal shares in the whole, which we have 4. So that's what the fraction would look like. The name is written like this: 1/4. Okay? And make sure this hyphen right here is really important. Otherwise, it's going to say 1. It will just have the word 1 and the word fourth. It doesn't really work that way. Okay, so that's how we're going to solve these. Let's do the next one. We'll get through the 3 practice problems. So the next one we have is a triangle. And when it's split or divided equally into 2 sections, they're called halves. And in the book, we're looking at this part of our fraction. Okay, so the one equal group that we're talking about, 1 fraction bar. How many equal groups altogether? We've got 2. So we're going to write our 2 right there. And the name that you're going to give it for this particular fraction is 1 hyphen half. Okay, we don't need the VES because we're only talking about half of the 1, so we don't need our plural. And then the very last one of the examples that they give, it gives you a rectangle. And it looks like it's split equally. And they have 6 equal shares. So I'll make 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. And they are looking at 1 equal share. Okay, so we have our 1 equal share above our fraction bar out of the 6 whole equal shares, or the 6 equal shares that make a whole. So our fraction is 1/6. The name that you give it, 1 hyphen 6. So what you're really doing for understanding the unit fraction is you're taking the names that we gave, just the shapes, from 10.1. So when you had the whole shape and it was sectioned off into 6, and you would say it had equal parts and the name I give it is 6th. You're doing the exact same thing here, but you're naming what we're calling the fraction, or you're naming the unit fraction. So when naming the unit fraction, the first number is always going to be your numerator. It's always going to be the part of the fraction that we're looking at, okay? So the part that's shaded in, one part of the 6 equal units or shared units, okay? So it would be 1 hyphen, and then your denominator, the number of units, or the number of equal shares per whole, okay? So that's really what we're doing. So as we turn the page to 452, it gives us the definitions again, okay? So as you've been working with your flashcards that you made or watching the vocabulary video, it gives it to us again, okay? But I want to go over them just one more time. So a fraction is the number that represents the whole. And remember, the whole is when we're looking at like the whole shape and how it's divided up, okay? The numerator represents how many equal parts are being counted. So on our examples, when there's only the one circle, okay, we've got the circle and it's divided like that. And this is colored in, okay? The numerator represents how many equal parts are being counted. Only one equal part is shaded in. So only one is being counted over the 4 equal shares of the whole. Okay, so that gives us the 1/4. And the fraction, which is this, the 1/4 is the fraction, and that's the number being represented of the whole. Now, the really important one here is also the unit fraction. Okay, a unit fraction represents 1 equal part of the whole. Just 1. Okay, there can't be more than 1. There's only 1 equal part of the whole. Okay, still unclear about that, go back to the chapter 10 vocabulary because it goes way more in depth. Okay, so looking at that example, it's this exact same picture. There are, let me erase the bottom. Okay, so we've got this exact same picture. I'm on 452. So there are blank equal parts in the whole. There are 6 equal parts. There are 6 equal parts of the whole. And then the blank of the equal part is shaded. 1 equal part is shaded. One of the equal parts is shaded. Okay, so one of the equal parts is shaded. So, filling in that box, kind of gave you a preview of it earlier on. They give you the fraction bar, and then you have to fill in the 2 numbers, numerator, denominator. Okay? North of the fraction bar is how many equal parts are shaded. Down below the fraction bar is the total number of equal parts in the whole. Okay, so it looks like that's what you're going to be doing through 452 and 453. Now I do want to let's talk about number 8 on page 453. Okay, so talking about number 8, we had a question like this, very similar to this in 10.1. Okay? Whoa. So we were given a rectangle. Okay? Now, you can divide a shape in many different ways. As you can tell as you're looking through these, there's more than one way to divide these shapes. So here we have a division line here. That's not very straight. And a division line here. Let me make that one straighter. Okay, so that's 2. And then it's split again right here. Now make sure you're looking in your book when you go to do this one because my drawing is not nearly as straight as the one in the book. Okay? But then they have this piece right here colored in. Okay, so they're talking about 1 equal share is shaded of the whole. Okay, so we'll have our 1 fraction bar. Okay, 1 equal share, that's what the definition of the numerator is. And then you always have to make sure you have your fraction bar, which in the book they give it for you, so you don't really need to worry about that. And then how many equal shares do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4. Over 4 equal shares that make up the whole. So it's 1/4 is shaded. Okay? And then it will ask you, like number 10 and 11, it tells you how you can divide the circle into 4 equal parts and shade one part of it. There's multiple ways, like we had said, to divide up a shape, okay? So if your circle can be divided, in 4s like that. It can be divided in 4s like this. There's many ways to do it. So maybe you just have this one shaded in. Maybe you've got this one shaded in. As long as they're 4 equal parts. And then you would write the fraction. Okay? When you're looking on page 454 for the Think and Grow Modeling in Real Life, you're going to have to just explain how you can use or see fractions in those flags. Okay, so don't think too much like, oh my gosh, it's a flag, I don't know what to do. You do know what to do because in each flag, it's fractioned off by colors. Okay, so you can do it. I feel really confident based off our class discussion today. And like always, we will be back on Zoom tomorrow if you have any questions. Good luck, guys.